Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development with UIKit tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can replace the traditional way of creating UI collection view cells with a SwiftUI view instead, using UI hosting configuration, just like we did with UI table view cells using UI hosting configuration. So let's take a look at what we had originally. So you can see here's at least a little bit of our configuration code for the UI of our cell. This was the result. You can see we have our image and our text and all of that for each individual cell with a device symbol inside it. And that's great. But the modern way of creating collection view cells would be by using SwiftUI. So how do we do that? Well, first, get rid of the UIKit code here. The user interface constraint code and all that. All of that UIKit code can go away. All right, so I'm going to there we go. So I am going to get rid of this method here. I will say func set device name. I want it to be a string like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the content configuration property here. So content configuration equals UI hosting configuration. And again, it's going to take in a single closure, which is going to return our view. So it'll be device view. And then we'll say name, device name, like that. All right. Now, we don't have our device view, and we need to import SwiftUI up here at the top of our class here. So we'll say import SwiftUI, like that. And now UI hosting configuration can be found because it's part of SwiftUI and not UIKit. Inside of our project navigator, I'm going to new file from template. I'm going to say SwiftUI view, and it's going to be device view, like that. All right, so device view. Inside of our device view, we'll have our name as a string. And we'll get rid of the default text in here. And if you're unfamiliar with how a SwiftUI view is constructed, how it works, you can... I do explain it in my SwiftUI series, so you can take a look at that. I also explain it briefly in the video where we talked about creating UI table view cells with SwiftUI, so you can also take a look at that if you would like, if you don't want to leave the iOS development playlist. So let's go ahead then. And inside of our body property here, we need to create the cell's content. So we had our image and our text vertically stacked on top of each other. And so for that, we can use a VStack. So VStack. And then here, what we'll do is we'll create an image with a system name. We'll pass it name. And then to make sure that we can resize it, set a width and a height for it, we'll say dot resizable dot scaled to fit, and then dot frame with a width of 125 and a height of 125. And that is our image, with the exception of setting the foreground style. So we'll do that. Dot foreground style dot green, like that. All right. Now, the next thing that we'll need is we will need a text view, and this text view is going to contain the name of our symbol. So text with name inside of it. And in between them, we're going to have a spacer. So what this will do then is it will give as much space as possible between the image and the text itself. Now, this view will only take up the 175 high cell and with the width of 125. Because the way that the content configuration works is it first confirms the size of the cell, which we've done with our flow layout, saying the item size is 125 by 175, and it says, okay, SwiftUI, you can only have this view in this area. So that's what it's going to do. If we save this now, and we get rid of our preview here inside of our SwiftUI view, I don't need it. You could use it if you want, but I'm not going to. We're going to save this and run our code again. It should succeed. And if it doesn't, then if it doesn't, we know there's a problem. So let's do that there. All right, now we have a successful build. And if we go into our collection here, we get our, we finally get our cell. And it looks pretty much exactly the same as we had for our UIKit layout code, except now it's in SwiftUI. And much like with our table view cells, there is one issue. And that's more of an accessibility issue. And that issue pretty much is that for each cell, we're now focusing on the image and the text. Image, text, image, text. And generally speaking, that's not what we want. We want to be able to interact with each cell as a whole rather than each individual element inside of those cells. So to fix that, what we can do is we can go to our VStack and attach a couple modifiers to it. So dot accessibility elements children dot combine. And what this modifier is going to do is it's going to combine the accessibility label for our image and our text into one element here. And then I'm going to apply an accessibility label here. And this is going to take in a text view. And we'll say name, like that. Now, when we save and run our code, we get a successful build. And here we are again in our app. It looks the same. But now, each individual cell is being treated as if it is its own accessibility element rather than focusing on each individual element inside of that cell, just like UIKit does for us on its own. But because it's SwiftUI, it can't do that. We have to do that particular bit of the work ourselves. All right. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the accessibility element and accessibility label modifiers, you can take a look at my Making Accessible Apps series, because I talk a little bit more in depth about those things over there, why they're important, and all of that stuff. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.